Suspiria is one of those movies I knew I was going to like on hearing the soundtrack, music by the talented band Goblin, and on watching the 1977 release, I was not disappointed. This is one of the films that made me want to look into Technicolor and how it works, though that won't be my point today, as I want to touch on Suspiria's artistic values themselves, including the movie's filming, gore, and how the film impacted the public. Hopefully by the end you'll want to pick up a copy of Suspiria or its 2018 remake. As expected, minor spoilers ahead. So most of the film is in its natural black and white state, the parts with color embellished using the process of Technicolor, which I highly recommend looking up. These parts are so contrasting with splashes of primary colors, and the setup is so contrasting with how objects cast certain shadows, you are left with a sense of boggle, if that's a way to describe it. Despite that, I wouldn't go as far as saying the film will leave you in hysteria, as critics initially said before changing their tune with Suspiria's cult following flocking to see it. Dario Argento definitely sewed a vivid bewitchment into the directing of it, and it's evident how painstaking the details were made. And not to make a pun on painstaking, the movie starts out with a girl and her friend killed a la 90s slasher, so there is a good amount of gore in Suspiria if you're looking for something shocking. It is a giallo film, so expect some grotesque moments. In particular, a scene with maggots falling from the ceiling. If you want, I could call it Edgar Allan Poe meets Final Destination, though you'll get more action than from Poe stories and more suspense than from Final Destination. I wouldn't call any of it gratuitous, as most of the gore is pretty central to the shocking plot, if not used to portray the cruel nature of the movie's antagonists, which you see more of in the rest of the Three Mother series, Inferno and Mother of Tears. Finally, I wanted to touch on the public reaction that I had alluded to earlier. Suspiria, despite its low critical light, initially went on to inspire, not at all ironically, due to its soundtrack, numerous musical groups. This includes the Norwegian thrash metal band Suspiria, a UK rock band Suspiria, and even some witch house music, a genre I can best describe as sounding like Goblin's work for the film. The movie inspired many more album names, was sampled by various artists, and even makes brief appearances in its sound cues in numerous songs. During the pandemic, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard performed live with a screening of the film, and Goblin itself made a tour during live performances of the soundtrack. And that is just musical inspiration. In 2008, an unfilmed remake was announced through MTV, and in 2015, a TV series that never made it out. Finally, the 2018 remake was released, being described as an homage rather than a direct remake, focusing on the, and I quote, uncompromising force of motherhood. This all certainly proves wrong many of the critics who claimed an artistic failure out of this film without a doubt. If you haven't guessed, I would recommend watching this film, at the very least for the experience of witnessing Dario Argento's work, or perhaps as an introduction to the giallo subgenre of horror. The masterful use of Technicolor, the artistic splashes of gore, and the musical score all enhance the plot full up on suspense and cerebral scare factor. If nothing else, the numerous awards should convince you to at least give it a look. If you want a rating, I would give it a 10 out of 10, and I try not to give that rating out liberally.